Montreal's interesting, but so are the Ottawa Senators, and Mike Fisher's a forward for the Sens, and he joins us here on NHL Live. Mike, it's Don LaGreca and EJ Raddick. How are you?
Hey, Don, EJ, how you guys doing? I'm doing good.
Good. Hey, Mike, first of all, I got to start by thanking you for last year. I was around the Senators a lot during the last couple rounds of the playoffs, and, win or lose, you were always a guy that was available to us. And, it's easy when guys are winning for guys to talk to the media and everything, but when things went sour a little bit in the finals, there was some tough moments there, and I just thought you were really one of the stand-up guys on that team. So thank you very much, and we always wish you the best, because guys like that, we like to see guys who win or lose are there to kind of talk about the games, because the fans want to know about what happened.
Yeah, it's part of it. You gotta be there regardless, because you appreciate the good times, but you got to be there during the bad, like you said. So. Yeah, I don't mind doing it at all with you guys for sure.
All right, now that said, what's wrong with your team this year? What has happened? You guys started off so good, and now things that went sour, and you're trying to regroup. Where are you today?
Well, we've been up and down. I mean, since Brian Murray took over about 3 weeks ago, I felt we've improved in some areas, and we'd had 3 wins in a row. We had a great game against Montreal and played really well in their building, and then the last game against Carolina was kind of it was a terrible effort for us. So we've been very inconsistent, and we got 9 games to go. We feel like we got a great squad. It's just a matter of, coming together as a team, and that's what we've struggled to do here for the last few months. So,
what's the big difference do you sense between the two coaches since the change?
Well, Brian he's a really good communicator, and he lets guys know right away what's expected, everyone's job and their roles, and defining that, which is important. And he's not his system is not rocket science, but he's very clear in what he wants, and he does a good job behind the bench, and he demands a lot out of our players. But I think his bottom line is you can play any system you want, but if you're not working together as a team, if you're not if you don't come to play every night and are focused and ready to play and just compete and outwork teams, you're not going to win. And that's what we've kind of been working through, and we've lost some games that we shouldn't have against some bottom teams lately, and probably because of lack of focus. So,
Mike, what happens? I mean, I saw you guys roll through the playoffs right to the finals last year. That was, that was just one of those things. I think Anaheim was, they had a lot of things going their way. They got to start at home. I think you guys, the long layoff. There was a lot of things that happened that I think worked against you in that final. But you started off the season so well this year. It was almost like, hey, the Ottawa Senators are on a mission this year to get back. And then, boy, you just jumped off the tracks there. I mean, how does that happen to a team? Because it seemed like you guys were just so good and rolling through those first 18 or 19 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's been frustrating for everyone, and realizing what's kind of we were so good, like you said early on, and no one could beat us, and then we hit some struggles in December, and just kind of things have snowballed, and we've gotten some bad habits where we think just our skill alone can beat teams, and that's what we were doing early on, and we like I said, we got in some bad habits, and then before you know it, you're losing, and it's hard to turn things around. And there's so many good teams. It's so tight, especially in the East, that if you're not coming to play, you're not going to win on most nights. And we saw that against Washington early on. We haven't beat them this year, and there's a lot of good teams. So, but we know we got some time left here, and I think looking back at Carolina, they kind of went through the same thing after they had won the Cup. They started off not too bad. Then by Christmas, they were tired and kind of worn out, and they struggled down the stretch too that next year, and they didn't make the playoffs. So, but we're going to fight through it, and hopefully this will help us down the road through some of this adversity. So,
it's been like a different year then, because you did go so far, and it's not like other years where maybe you get bumped out early and you have a normal summer. I mean, this year you had you're in a little different situation because you had the short year, and then you have had a lot of distractions. I mean, let's face it, with the goaltending thing on and on. I mean, just that there seems to be like an added weight that you probably didn't need.
Well, there's lots of pressures, but we should be able to handle that at this level, and take that as something that's going to help us. But it's the good thing is you talk about the goaltender. The goaltending is the way that Gerber has stepped up and played really well lately. That's a good sign for us. A lot of people were especially media, doubting our goaltending for a while, and so that's, I think, going to help us in the way he's been playing. And but we're I think we're confident. We know we can get back to the level of where we need to be, and it's just a matter of time. Sometimes it takes a while under a new coach and a little bit different philosophy. So.
Talking to Mike Fisher of the Ottawa Senators here on NHL Live. EJ alluded to the Ray Emery situation. At any moment during the course of the year, did that divide the dressing room?
No, you know what, it didn't. I mean, he's been under some controversy, the past few years, and been under the spotlight, but I don't think it divided the team. I think we're disappointed with some of the things that have happened, him being late and some things like that. But we understand that we have to deal with that the best way possible, and a lot of times that's up to the management to deal with and just move on. And now Gerber's stepped up and kind of been the guy lately, which has been good because he's a guy that's worked really hard for us, even when he's not playing. So.
We've discussed so much about trying to get that top seed, you, Pittsburgh, Montreal, New Jersey, all in the mix for that. But aside from getting home ice and the benefits of that, does it really matter finishing first overall, considering you don't even know who you're going to play if you finish first overall?
Yeah, we know it's going to be – there's going to be no easy rounds for sure in the East because it's so tight right now. But, in years past, we finished first and been out in the first round and not played well. And then last year where we didn't finish first, we played much better. So we'd obviously like to get home ice. There's no question about that. But our focus now is obviously we don't even have a playoff spot locked down right now, so that's our main goal. But coming into the playoffs on a positive and not struggling like we have lately, we need a bunch of wins together, get our confidence and knowing that we can beat anyone we face, and that's our goal.
Hey, Mike, how important we talk about it here all the time on this show, how important are matchups when you get into the playoffs? Because, for example, you guys have had a lot of success against Montreal, but you haven't been able to beat Washington. So, I mean, when you look at this as you go forward, you've been in the playoffs several years now with the Senators. How important is that, is just the matchup that you end up with when you get there?
Well, it can determine a lot for sure. I think you definitely had Montreal's number. They're a little bit smaller, and we seem to, play some great games against them, and for whatever reason. And then Washington this year, man, they played really well against us and scored a lot of goals, and Ovechkin's killed us, and a lot of different things. But I think coming in the playoffs, we're a pretty experienced team, and that's going to help us, and we know what we're capable of, and Washington's got some young guys that haven't played in the playoffs, and there's a lot of different factors, but it'll be definitely interesting, the first round matchups that we see, and over the next few weeks we'll see what happens. So.
You're a guy that matches up a lot with the best players in the National Hockey League. So far this year, who's been the toughest matchup for you?
Well, there's I think Ovechkin's always played really well against us, and he's a tough guy to play. I mean, he plays physical, plays with a bit of an edge, and shoots the puck so well and skates. So he's kind of a good all-around player that is really hard to shut down. And then obviously Crosby, one of the best players, is fun to play against. So probably those two, and even Malkin, the way he's been playing lately is the way he skates, and he's a big body. He's kind of, you got to keep your feet moving, and he's a tough guy too. So.
Were you surprised? Have you been surprised by Malkin at all? Because, I mean, this is a guy that has kind of emerged from the shadow a little bit of Sidney Crosby. I mean, we know he's a great player in his own right, but when we talk about Pittsburgh, when Crosby's in there, we focus on him. Has he surprised you at all, Malkin, with how good he's been?
Yeah, you know what? The last time we played them, last couple times, a bunch of the guys said, man, he played really well compared to the way he played. I mean, he was a great player last year, but the way he's played this year without Crosby and kind of been given that role of the go-to guy. I mean, he's been he's up there with Ovechkin the way he's been playing for sure.